What you are about to hear is not just the story of a football match. It is the story of a night when the world watched a dream die in real time, and no one in power seemed willing to stop it. Egypt was minutes away from making history. Argentina, the defending champions, were on the ropes, exposed, exhausted, humiliated. And then, in the span of a single whistle, everything changed. Stay with me, because what unfolded on that pitch was not football, it was something else entirely. This was supposed to be the World Cup knockout match that redefined the tournament. 90,000 fans inside the stadium, over 1 billion watching around the globe. Egypt, the so-called underdog, the team no analyst gave a chance, had walked onto that field and torn the script apart. 2 goals up against Lionel Messi and the reigning world champions. 2 goals up against a team built on legacy, money, and expectation. And by the end of this video, you will understand exactly why what happened next was not a comeback. It was a construction, a carefully engineered rescue mission, and if you want the truth that mainstream broadcasters will never say out loud, subscribe right now, turn on notifications, because what is coming in the next few minutes will change the way you see this sport forever. Here is the central contradiction, the one nobody in the commentary booth wanted to touch. Argentina were losing. Argentina were being outplayed. Argentina were being embarrassed by a team that, on paper, should not have been on the same pitch, and yet somehow by the final whistle, Argentina walked off victorious. Not because they were better, not because they adapted, but because the game itself was bent, twisted, and reshaped around them. Let us go back to the beginning. Egypt struck first in the 23rd minute. Mohamed Salah, ghosting between 2 defenders, threading a pass that split the Argentine backline like paper. 1-0. The stadium erupted. Then, in the 41st minute, a set piece, a header from Mohamed El Neni, and suddenly it was 2-0. 2-0 against Argentina. 2-0 against the champions. 2-0 in a World Cup knockout. Sit with that for a moment, because in that instant, the entire tournament narrative was collapsing. The projections, the sponsorship deals, the marketing campaigns already printed for an Argentina-France final, all of it was on the verge of vanishing. And then the whistles started, not from the crowd, from the referee. In the 52nd minute, Egypt were awarded what looked like a clear penalty. Salah brought down inside the box, a defender's arm across his chest, no attempt to play the ball. The referee pointed to the spot. The stadium roared. And then, from a small booth hundreds of meters away, VAR intervened. 3 minutes of review. 3 minutes of frozen frames. 3 minutes of a decision being unmade. No penalty. Play on. Think about that for a moment. Think about how a technology introduced to eliminate human error was suddenly being used to overturn a decision the on-field referee had already made with full clarity. But that is just the beginning. Pull back further and the picture grows darker. 6 minutes later, Argentina had a corner. A tangle of bodies in the Egyptian box. A soft, almost imaginary touch on Julian Alvarez. The referee waved play on. VAR intervened again. This time, the review took less than 40 seconds. Penalty to Argentina. Messi stepped up. 2-1. And just like that, the tide had a direction. But not because of football. Because of interpretation. Here is where it changes completely. In the 71st minute, Egypt's captain was shown a second yellow card for a challenge that replays would later show barely made contact. 10 men against 11. 10 men against the champions. 10 men against a machine that had, until that moment, been dead on its feet. And still, Egypt fought. Still they held. Still they refused to break. Until the 84th minute, when another penalty was awarded to Argentina. Another soft contact. Another VAR review that somehow, mysteriously, confirmed a decision no neutral analyst could justify. 2-2. And then, in the 93rd minute, deep into stoppage time, that itself had been extended beyond reason, Lautaro Martinez slid the ball past the Egyptian goalkeeper. 3-2, full time. Argentina advance. But look at what was left behind. Look at the faces. Salah on his knees, staring at the turf, hands over his head. El Neni in tears, being consoled by a teammate who could barely stand himself. The Egyptian coach, refusing to shake hands, walking straight down the tunnel with his jaw clenched, his eyes burning. And in the press conference that followed, he said the words that echoed around the world. He said, and I quote, "This was not a football match. This was a performance. This was a script, and we were never meant to win. Before we go any deeper, if this is the kind of coverage you have been looking for, the kind that refuses to bow to the sanitized narratives of corporate broadcasters, subscribe now and turn on notifications. Because what is coming next is the part they really do not want you to hear. Consider the pattern. Consider the shape of the tournament as a whole. Every match Argentina has played in this competition has featured, on average, 3 more minutes of stoppage time than any other quarterfinal or semifinal fixture. Every match Argentina has played has produced at least one VAR review that swung a decision in their favor. Every match. Not one, not two. Every single one. And when you stack those examples together, when you line them up side by side, the coincidence becomes something else. It becomes a pattern, and patterns, in a tournament worth billions of dollars, do not happen by accident. Think about the commercial reality. An Argentina-France final is the single most valuable outcome for broadcasters, sponsors, and governing bodies. Messi versus Mbappe. Legacy versus future. The rematch the entire planet has been demanding since the last World Cup. Advertising slots for that final have been sold at rates never before seen in the sport. Hotel packages, hospitality suites, official merchandise, all of it built around one assumption: that Argentina would be there. That Argentina had to be there. Now imagine, for a moment, that Egypt had won. Imagine the phone calls that would have followed. Imagine the sponsors, the networks, the executives watching their investments collapse in real time. Imagine the pressure. And now ask yourself the question that no one on television wants to ask out loud. In a sport where a single decision can be worth hundreds of millions of dollars, who exactly is watching the watchers? The Egyptian Federation has already filed a formal complaint. Multiple retired referees, speaking anonymously, have described the officiating as, and I quote again, indefensible. Independent analysts have broken down the footage frame by frame and found not one, not two, but at least 4 separate incidents where the rules were applied inconsistently, always in Argentina's favor, never in Egypt's. And still, the trophy will be lifted. Still, the confetti will fall. Still, the narrative will be written by the same voices who spent 90 minutes pretending they did not see what the rest of us saw. This is the bigger picture. This is what the story really reveals. Football, the sport that once belonged to the streets, to the villages, to the working class of every continent on Earth, has become a product. A carefully managed, tightly controlled, commercially optimized product. And when an underdog threatens that product, when a team like Egypt dares to step out of the role they were assigned, the machine responds. Not with malice, necessarily, but with correction. With adjustment. With the quiet, invisible hand of a system that already knows how the story is supposed to end. And here is the contrast that should haunt every fan watching this video. Before the tournament, we were told this would be the most transparent World Cup in history. We were told VAR would eliminate bias. We were told the officials would be held to the highest standard. That was the promise. That was the pitch. And this heartbreak, this humiliation of a nation that dared to dream, this is the reality. So what do you do with all of this? What does any of us do? You do not stay silent. You do not accept the narrative handed to you by broadcasters who have every financial reason to look the other way. You share the footage. You question the decisions. You demand the accountability that governing bodies have spent decades avoiding. Because the integrity of this sport does not belong to executives in glass towers. It belongs to the fans. It belongs to the players who leave everything on the pitch. It belongs to nations like Egypt, whose only crime was believing that talent and heart could be enough. What do you think? Was this the greatest robbery in modern World Cup history? Or is this simply the way the game has always been, finally exposed under the harsh light of technology and social media? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Tell me what you saw. Tell me what you felt. And if this video reached you, if any part of it resonated, hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and share it with someone who still believes the beautiful game deserves better. Because the truth does not defend itself, we do. Egypt did not lose that match. Egypt was defeated by something far larger than 11 players in white and blue. And until we are willing to say that out loud, until we are willing to name what we all just witnessed, the next Egypt, and the one after that, will fall the same way. Remember this night. Remember these names. Because history is not written by the winners anymore. It is written by the ones who refuse to look away.